After 10 years of betrayal, I discovered an incredible secret: my heartwarming path to empowerment. James Parker felt the chill of a November afternoon seep through the cracks of the old mechanic shop, each gust of wind whispering memories of better days. The worn office buzzed with a nostalgic energy as he sifted through dusty invoices, oil-stained from years of hard work. Suddenly, an envelope slipped from the cluttered drawer, landing on the floor like a bombshell. His heart raced when he opened it, revealing bank statements that shook the very foundation of his world. 10 years of his older brother Tom siphoning funds from the family business lay bare before him, and with each number, a piece of James's trust shattered into a million pieces. Anger coursed through his veins, mixing with disbelief and a profound sadness that felt like a punch to the gut. He had always admired Tom, his heroic brother who served overseas, a beacon of loyalty. How could he betray the legacy of their father? In that instant, the shop felt colder, the walls that once felt like support now closing in on him, heavy with betrayal. Days dragged on, as his sorrow morphed into a quiet reflection, where hope flickered like a candle in the wind. The friendly faces of Maplewood offered comfort, neighbors stopping by to lend a hand, sharing stories that echoed with resilience and the spirit of community. Veterans spoke of camaraderie and bravery that reminded James of the grit it took to keep moving forward. He poured himself into the shop, ensuring it would rise again, battling not just bumping up against the ghosts of Tom's deceit, but also societal prejudices that threatened to break him down. Just as he felt a spark of determination igniting within him, the door creaked open. Tom stood there, eyes sunken, desperation radiating off him like heat from the engine of a car on a summer day. "James, I'm so sorry," he pleaded, the words heavy with shame. "I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could fix it." The air thickened with tension, the brotherly bond feeling like a rope fraying at the edges. A surge of emotion surged within James. Could he really forgive the man who had stolen his trust and tainted their legacy? This moment hung in the air like a ticking clock, weighing heavily with the complexities of family loyalty. Their childhood memories swirled around him, good times melting into twisted thoughts of betrayal. James found himself at a crossroads. Could he find the strength to reach across the chasm of hurt? Or would this betrayal tear them apart, marking an unbreakable divide? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. James could feel the weight of the moment, the pressure of his thoughts blending into the din of Maplewood outside, the laughter of children, the warmth of neighbors sharing stories. It struck him that true empowerment wasn't just about reclaiming lost trust. It was woven into the bonds of the community, stitched together with understanding and empathy. As Tom's words hung in the air, James faced his brother, a hurricane of emotions swirling within him. The sun dipped lower, the golden light softening the edges of a new beginning or a bitter end. Would he tear down the walls built by betrayal, or would this be the beginning of a schism that would forever alter the course of his life? The answer lingered heavy in the air, a question that would only grow as the night deepened around them. James took a deep breath, trying to steady the tempest inside him. The shadows of the past collided with the bright hope for the future. He locked eyes with Tom, searching for something: remorse, sincerity, or perhaps a glimpse of the brother he once knew. "Why did you do it, Tom?" James finally asked, his voice cracking. "Why betray me? Why our family business?" Tom shifted uncomfortably, his hands trembling slightly. "I thought I could handle it, James. After returning from the war, I tried to adapt, but I was lost. The money, it felt like a way to regain control, to feel like I was contributing. I never meant to hurt you." James wanted to scream. Wanted to unleash the pain of betrayal that had dug deep roots in his chest. But beneath the anger, there was a flicker of understanding. Tom had fought battles that remained invisible to those around him, both on foreign soil and within the confines of his own mind. "Look, I get it. War changes you. But honesty is part of family," James said, his voice steadier now, suppressed grief bubbling just beneath the surface. You could come to me. I know. I know. Tom cried out, stepping closer, desperation filling the space between them. But I was ashamed. I thought I could fix this before you noticed. I thought I could make it right. I didn't want to burden you. Silence filled the room, thick with the weight of unspoken words. The shop, so familiar, felt foreign under this cloud of betrayal. The memories of laughter, of learning to fix cars together, of sharing dreams over late-night dinners invaded his mind like a movie on repeat. Could he allow those memories to be tainted by this mess? As the shadows lengthened outside, James felt a heaviness settle in his heart. He owed it to his brother, to their shared history, to not decide in this moment of strife. Still, the heartache was real, and the thought of trust needing to be rebuilt hung like a veil between them. Tom, I won't lie and say this is easy for me, James finally whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. You've put me in an impossible position. I understand, Tom replied, visibly shaken. But I want to make things right. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll face the consequences. James could see the spark of determination in Tom's eyes, mixed with the pain of his own guilt. The resolve to change was there, a light flickering beneath the sorrow. Maybe we can both make it right, together, James suggested, a hint of hope creeping into his voice. But it's going to take time. Trust isn't built overnight. Anything, Tom said, sincerity lacing his tone. I swear, I'll work hard to earn it back. The brothers shared a moment, a shift palpable in the air. It was both a fragile promise and an uncertain beginning, a step towards a future that could rise from the ashes of their turmoil. James turned towards the shop window, looking out at the setting sun, the golden rays painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. It was beautiful, yet bittersweet, a reminder of the potential beauty waiting outside of hurt. What now? Tom asked, the worry etched across his face. James chuckled softly. Well, first, we need to go through the financial statements together. We can't fix this if we don't know the full picture. Tom nodded, a sliver of hope breaking through his anxieties. Let us do it. But there's one more thing I need to tell you. Something I've been keeping hidden. Each word felt like a countdown, a prelude to another revelation waiting just beneath the surface. James felt his heart race again. What is it? He urged, anxiety creeping back in. In that moment, with the stakes rising dramatically, they both knew that another layer of their fractured relationship was about to be revealed. Tom took a deep breath, his eyes darting away to gather his thoughts. The urgency hung in the air, suffocating yet electric, like the calm before a storm. With one more glance at James, he tightens his grip on the edge of the desk, as if it was the only thing keeping him grounded. It's about the money I took, it wasn't just about control. There's something else, something I didn't know how to explain, he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. James stepped closer, his heart pounding in anticipation. Just say it, Tom. Taking another shaky breath, Tom finally let the words tumble out, each one heavier than the last. I found out there were invoices from people you don't know. People who had been coming to me for help against the mechanic businesses near us. They were being scammed. I thought I could redirect some of that money to help them get back on their feet, thinking it would fix everything, but I just ended up making it worse. James' legs felt weak as emotions tore through him. What do you mean? You were trying to help them? Tom nodded vigorously, eyes pleading. Yes. I wasn't just stealing from myself, I wanted to help them. I thought if I showed you that I could be useful again, it would change how you saw me, how I saw myself. But it just spiraled out of control. The business took a hit. I took a hit. And then all this. I didn't know how to explain it back then. At that moment, James saw the truth in Tom's eyes. It was a desperate mess born from a genuine desire to do something good. His brother was still wrapped in the chains of guilt, but there was an underlying shift happening. Perhaps he had been drowning in shame without realizing he had a lifeline all along. Family. I can't believe you didn't just ask for help. James sighed, shaking his head in disbelief. We could work together, talked about the hardships. You didn't have to carry this alone. Tom's brows furrowed with confusion. I wanted to, I really did, but I wasn't the brother you remembered. I'm broken. He glanced away, and in that moment, he looked so small. The bravado and determination faltered under the weight of reality. No, you're not broken. You're scarred. There's a difference. James fought back tears, his own heart aching. He stepped in closer, almost pleadingly. You are still Tom. My brother. Let us work together to fix this mess you started and make it right, not just for us, but for everyone else too. A flicker of hope ignited in Tom's eyes, but fear still danced in their depths. What if I mess up again? What if trust can't be rebuilt? James reached out, grasping his brother's shoulder firmly. That's the risk we take together. But it's worth it. Family means sharing the burden, supporting each other. We build from here. Together. Tom took a moment, breathing in James' words. It was as if the air had shifted. The weight was still present, but it felt lighter. For the first time in a long while, he could see a glimpse of a future beyond this moment. Okay, he finally said, almost a whisper, yet filled with resolve. Together. As they aligned their goals, the brothers began to delve into the financial statements, their hands moving over the papers with a tentative unity. They quarreled over numbers but also shared laughter as they reminisced about simpler times. Old wounds were still raw, but together, they were finding a way to heal. Then, as they dug deeper, James paused over a line in the ledger that seemed strange. Wait a minute, this transaction, it looks familiar, almost like. Tom leaned over, his eyes widening in shock. What? What is it? The subtle feeling of dread coiled back into James' stomach as pieces started to fit together in a way they hadn't anticipated. It looks like someone in our circle knew more than they let on, and they might have been behind this all along. The silence that followed hung thick in the air. They looked at each other, both feeling the tension and the electric possibility of something dark looming just beneath the surface. In that moment, they knew this was only the beginning of their repair, one that would unearth more than they had bargained for. Who could it be, James? Tom whispered, the fear evident in his voice. I don't know, but we have to find out. With each tick of the clock, the chapters of their lives began to unravel in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. And as they dove into the depths of their family legacy, dark waters waited just ahead. Would they be prepared for the truths yet to surface? Tom's heart raced as they stared down at the ledger. The numbers felt like riddles, taunting them with half-truths. He glanced at James, whose brows were knitted in concentration. There was an urgency in their silence, a shared understanding that this wasn't just about money. It was about the very fabric of their lives unraveling before them. James's finger traced a particular line. I've seen this before, he murmured, his voice echoing in the tense room. It was a name that had haunted them for years, tied to the shadows lurking beneath their childhood memories. Morgan. He's always been involved in questionable practices. Why didn't we connect the dots sooner? Tom murmured, frustration creeping in. The name felt like a curse, a weight thrown on their backs. It was as if they had been blindfolded all along, choosing not to see the truth that lay in plain sight. James pushed back from the desk, rubbing a hand over his face. It was easier to ignore the signs. It felt good just to trust people. But now his words drifted into uncertainty. Now we have to confront it, Tom replied, an edge of desperation threading through his voice. What if Morgan is the reason everything fell apart? What if he played us against each other? James closed his eyes, breathing in deeply. We have to investigate. If he's been manipulating our business, we can't let him keep doing it. They both knew confrontations weren't just about exposing wrongs but also about facing their own fears and guilt. Tom felt the old panic rise anew, and before he could cage it, he spat out, but what if he turns it on us? What if no one believes us? A flicker of panic danced in James's eyes, and for the first time, Tom saw how helpless they both felt. We can't let fear rule us. If we want to rebuild what we've lost, we need to dig deeper together. Tom could feel the anxiety throbbing in his chest, competing with the barely flickering flame of hope. What if we can't fix this? What if there's no way back? Then we'll fight anyway, James said suddenly, determination breaking through the dread. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the people who came to you for help. That was it. A surge of conviction rushed through Tom. Perhaps fighting back meant more than just facing Morgan, it meant reclaiming a part of himself he had thought vanished forever. Let us do this, he said, each word a step toward taking back control. We can gather evidence. We'll show people what he has done, and we'll help those who were hurt. Okay, James nodded, a fire renewing in his gaze. Let us start by reaching out to some of the clients. See if we can uncover more about Morgan's dealings. There must be others like those who came to you. With that, they set their plan into motion. They pooled their resources, diving into old contracts and customer histories, each clue drawing them deeper into a web of deception that had long been lurking just below their daily lives. As they worked through late nights, sharing stories and strategizing over coffee, Tom felt himself growing stronger. The laughter and shared resolve renewed the bond that had frayed for so long. Each moment spent uncovering the truth was a stitch reinforcing the fabric of their relationship, but with the exhilaration of the chase came nausea, a constant reminder that they were up against a dangerous opponent. Unknown consequences hung in the air, and uncertainty clung to them tightly, like a storm cloud ready to burst out on a particularly late night. As Tom stared at the scrappy notes littering the table, a thought clawed at his mind. What if Morgan knows we're onto him? James leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms thoughtfully. Then we better stay one step ahead. We can't let him take control again. In that moment, the darkness felt palpable. The stakes were higher than before. It would take every bit of bravery they could muster to overcome what lay ahead. Would they manage to pull the threads together, or would the past ensnare them once more? As dawn approached and the shadows stretched longer, Tom glanced at James, who was already focused on another lead. We need to be ready for whatever comes next, Tom said quietly, a tremor in his voice. We will be, James replied, and for a brief moment, the promise echoed between them, yet as they settled into a rhythm, an ominous shiver ran down Tom's spine. The deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became. Was it truly possible to confront the past without getting burned? They had just begun to unravel the truth. The deeper they went, the more they risked losing everything again. What secrets awaited in the shadows, and would they be strong enough to face them head-on? The sun rose on a new day, the light creeping through the gaps in the dusty blinds. Tom squinted, pushing away the remnants of sleep and the weight of dread. There was no turning back now. They had taken the first steps, but a sense of unease wrapped around him like a tight blanket. Okay, what us first? James asked, determination tinging his voice as he poured another cup of coffee. The aroma filled the small room, a welcome distraction from the chaos of their thoughts. Tom tapped the table nervously. We start with the clients who reached out to me first. We need to get their stories. If Morgan's been operating in the shadows, they might hold the key to what he's been doing. Right, James replied, his eyes brightening. Let us divide the list. I'll take the ones from the west side, you handle the east. We'll meet back here tonight to compare notes. As they dug into their work, the atmosphere each night started to shift. With every collected story, a mixture of fear and exhilaration filled the air. Each client confirmed what they suspected: Morgan was not just a bad apple, he was the root of a systemic rot. Tom met with Sandra first, a single mother who had lost everything to Morgan's deceit. Her shaking hands betrayed the storm inside her as she described how Morgan lured her into a financial trap. I was so desperate to make things work, she said, tears brimming in her eyes. He made it sound so easy. Did he force you into anything? Tom asked, his heart aching. No, not directly, she replied, a look of deep shame crossing her face. But I trusted him, he seemed to care. Those words pierced Tom. It wasn't just about losing money. It was about losing trust in people, in the system, in themselves. Tom nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. You're not alone in this. We're going to fight back. With each conversation, Tom felt the momentum building. These women and men, they were stronger than they knew. He relayed their stories to James that night, charging the room with a fervent energy that felt electric. James leaned back, cradling his chin in thought. Every single one of them believed he cared. Morgan used that. It's infuriating. We have to show everyone the truth, Tom insisted, determined. If we can get a few more to speak up, we'll have the proof we need. And it'll be harder for him to spin the narrative against us. Late that night, as Tom rummaged through old emails, a chilling realization hit him. What if he has been watching us? He could see that we're onto him. James stiffened. We can't fall into paranoia, Tom. We have to stay focused. I know, Tom said, running a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling over. But it feels like stepping into a lioness den. What if he strikes next? The tension in the room thickened, punctuated by their racing thoughts. But in that moment of fear, a quiet voice inside Tom reminded him of what they had built together from the ashes. We have to keep going. We can't let him win. The next few days turned into a whirlwind of appointments and frantic meetings. Each revelation added another layer of complexity to their fight against Morgan. The deeper they dug, the more their lives seemed to intertwine with those they were helping. Faces that had once felt distant now became part of a community united against one man. When Tom found Hannah, a woman who used to be a partner in Morgan's dealings, he realized just how deeply the roots of deception ran. I thought I was doing right by my clients, she said, her voice trembling. He used my ambition against me. I lost everything. My family. My reputation. I never saw it coming. Tom felt an ache deep in his chest. We're going to uncover the truth, he promised. You're not alone anymore. But just as hope began to bloom, an unsettling feeling crept back in. Morgan's shadow loomed larger as whispers of his reaction began to surface. Tom couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. What if Morgan had allies? What if he turned those friends against them? When a warning came in the form of a threatening letter slipped under Tom's door, everything changed. His heart sank, the reality of their situation crashing down on him. James, he knows, Tom breathed, holding the letter tightly. We need to act fast. The weight of the world pressed down on them. How could they fight back now that they'd become targets? In the margins of their hopes lay a new fear, one that implied their fight for justice could come with devastating consequences. What choices would they have to make in order to protect what little they had left? Tom's hands shook as he crumpled the letter. The black ink felt menacing in the dim light of the room, a scrawled warning that seemed to seep into the very air they breathed. What if we're putting everyone at risk? He muttered, running his fingers through his hair in frustration. Tom. James snapped, pulling him out of his spiral. We can't think that way. We've come too far. We need to focus on the next step. But how do we get ahead of someone like Morgan? Tom challenged, a flicker of defiance igniting in his chest. He's resourceful, and clearly, he doesn't play by the rules. James stood up, crossing the room, his stature straining with resolve. We play smart. We gather our evidence, and we build a solid case. We can't let fear take the lead. Tom nodded, but the uncertainty coiled tightly in his stomach. They had spent days digging into the lives devastated by Morgan's schemes, and now, he was starting to wonder if they were the ones digging their own grave. Just then, the phone rang, slicing through the tension like a knife. Tom answered it, his heart pounding in rhythm with every ring. Tom Hayes speaking. Tom, it's Hannah, her voice was breathy, the fear palpable even through the phone. I need to meet now. Is everything okay? He asked, heart racing. Are you safe? No, it's not about that, she said, urgency leaking into her tone. I found something. Something important about Morgan. But I'm scared I don't know who to trust. Stay right where you are, I'll come to you, Tom promised. He turned to James, whose brows knitted in concern. Who is she meeting with, Tom? I don't know, he admitted, clenching his fists. But she said she found something. If it's substantial, then we need to be careful. Let us come up with a plan. This isn't just about getting information anymore. It's about keeping her safe, James replied, grabbing his jacket. As they stepped out into the fading sunlight, a sense of urgency loomed over them. The streets felt different, charged with an energy that made Tom's skin prickle. Every car that passed, every shadow that flickered in his peripheral vision, reminded him of Morgan's grip on their lives. They were stepping into a world where the threat wasn't just abstract. It was looming, real, and relentless. Hannah chose a secluded cafe under the pretense of anonymity. The mismatched chairs and dim lighting made for a cozy atmosphere, but the tension between them felt like ice. When she arrived, her eyes darted around the room, landing on Tom with a look of relief mixed with dread. "Thank you for coming," she whispered, sliding into the booth. "I didn't know who else to turn to." "What did you find?" Tom asked, leaning in closer. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling before she laid down a flash drive. "I got into Morgan's old files. He kept detailed records, but I don't know if I can trust it all." Tom's stomach nodded. "You don't think it was planted or tampered with?" "I don't know." She dug her nails into her palms, shaking her head. "I just feel like someone is watching me." The weight of her fear hit Tom hard. They were not just fighting for themselves, they were holding fragile lives in their hands, lives that had already been shattered. "We can go through it together. But if he really is watching, we have to be smart about this," Tom said, steely determination rising in his throat. Unease settled back over him as he pictured Morgan, lurking just out of sight, ready to strike without warning. They wouldn't just need a plan, they would need something better than hope. They had to act, and swiftly. As they huddled around the table, the walls felt like they were closing in. Each moment was loaded with tension. Was this the dangerous foray into the lioness den, or could this be the breakthrough they had been desperately searching for? Just then, a man walked in, his gaze scanning the room. Tom's heart skipped a beat. What if this was Morgan's ally coming to silence them? "Don't move," he warned Hannah softly, eyes fixed on the entrance. "We might need to play this safe, or run." The door swung open, and Tom felt time freeze. Would they find the evidence they needed, or were they just pulling at a thread that could unravel everything they'd fought for? The man who had walked in was tall, dressed in a dark coat that seemed to absorb the light around him. Tom's heart raced as he assessed the situation. What was he doing here? All the instincts that had kept him alive coursed through him, sharpening his senses. Another figure lingered at the door, quick glances exchanged between them. Security or a threat? It felt like a game of chess, and the stakes were too high. Hannah shifted nervously, her wide eyes searching Tom's face for reassurance. He leaned closer, trying to shield her from view. "We need to blend in," he whispered, urgency slipping into his tone. "Act casual." But as the man approached, Tom noticed a glimmer of recognition in his eyes. His breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just any stranger, it was someone from Morgan's inner circle, someone who might know too much. "Stay put," Tom murmured to Hannah, then stepped out of the booth with a forced smile, masking the tension that had gripped his chest. He met the stranger halfway, trying not to show the anxiety thrumming beneath his skin. "Can I help you?" The man's gaze flicked over Tom, dismissing him for a moment before returning to his search through the cafe. "Just looking for a friend," he replied, but his voice was too smooth, too rehearsed. "Sure," Tom said, forcing confidence. "It's a small place, you might want to check the back area." Right, the man hesitated, still surveying the room. He turned slightly, and Tom felt the pressure behind his eyes. If he recognized Hannah, everything would spiral out of control in an instant. Behind him, Hannah remained tense, gripping the table like it was her only anchor. Tom's mind raced, calculating their options. They needed to leave, but doing so without drawing attention could prove impossible. He glanced at James, who had slipped unnoticed to the other side of the cafe, readying himself for the potential escape. "Hey!" The man suddenly called out, his eyes locking onto Tom as he pointed a finger. "You looked nervous. You know something, don't you?" Tom's blood ran cold. "No, just enjoying the atmosphere," he tried, voice steady despite the turmoil inside. The stranger smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Really? I think you'd be wiser not to play games. Morgan doesn't he like being misinformed? The mention of Morgan sent a chill down Tom's spine. Just how far did Morgan's reach extend? I assure you, I'm not playing. Tom kept his composure, every muscle in his body tense as he prepared for a swift movement. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught James inching closer, ready to spring into action. Tom flicked his gaze toward Hannah, who seemed lost in the chaos, her breathing shallow. We can still slip out, he thought, feeling an undercurrent of hope sparking within him. Just before Tom could signal for them to move, the man took a step forward, narrowing the distance. Try running, and you might just regret it, he sneered. Tom's heart raced. The sudden threat made his mind whirl. What was their next move? Could they call for help, or would that put Hannah in more danger? Every direction seemed fraught with peril. Then Hannah, with unexpected courage, spoke up. You don't know anything. Tom's head whipped to her, shocked at her boldness. Was she risking everything with that outburst? Did she have a plan of her own? Excuse me? The stranger's eyes flickered to her in surprise, his interest piqued, but Tom could see the danger that loomed. In that charged moment, Tom realized they faced more than just an adversary. They were at the brink of a confrontation that could spiral quickly. His thoughts raced. What would she say next? What trap was set beneath her words? Let us just get the hell out of here, he muttered, ready to make a break for it, but then was struck by the tension that hung in the air, thick enough to choke on. Talk later, run now. But could this be the moment that changed everything for both of them? Just then, the cafe door slammed open, and chaos swept into the room. Tom felt a surge of panic as footsteps echoed, heavy and thunderous. Who else had arrived? And as I turned to the entrance, the question loomed larger than life. Were they about to find a lifeline or become trapped in a web of danger? The cafe buzzed with the sounds of startled voices and clinking chairs. Tom's heart jumped into his throat as he turned to see who had burst through the door. The newcomer, a stocky man in a plaid shirt with a baseball cap pulled low over his brow, caught the attention of everyone in the room. He glanced around, eyes scanning the crowd frantically, then locked onto the stranger in the dark coat. Jake. The man's voice boomed across the cafe like a cannon. We need to go. What's happening? The dark-coated man, who Tom now recognized as Jake, lost his collected demeanor. He exchanged terrified glances with Hannah, who remained frozen at the table, bewildered. Before Tom could process the situation, a group of 3 more entered behind Jake, all burly and menacing. They became a wall of menace blocking the exit, their eyes sweeping the cafe as if hunting for something or someone. Tom felt Hannah's grip tighten on his arm. We're trapped, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rising murmur in the room. No, we aren't. Tom's mind raced to formulate a plan as adrenaline surged through him. We'll find a way out. Just stick with me. He stole another glance at James, who was inching toward the door, ready to distract the newcomers if need be, but before Tom could act, Jake spoke again, his confidence fading. I'm coming. Just give me a second, he called out, almost pleading. It was a sound filled with desperation that struck an unexpected chord within Tom. Suddenly, the door swung open wider, and an older woman entered, her auburn hair flaming against the dull cafe walls. What is going on here? She demanded, her voice commanding. Tom recognized her as Mary, a prominent figure in the neighborhood known for her no-nonsense attitude. The group of men instantly grew tense, as if her presence had disrupted their dark plans. Step aside, Mary, Jake said, his voice now a low growl. This isn't your fight. Like hell it isn't, Mary shot back, moving further into the cafe, unwavering. We all know what you're up to. There's no need to turn this into a scene. Just leave these folks alone. Tom felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Maybe the dynamic was shifting. Yet, a low chuckle slipped from one of the men. You think you can save them? He taunted, eyeing Mary. You have no idea what we're capable of. We'll find out, won't we? Mary held her ground, steely resolve in her posture. It was a fierce stand, one Tom admired even among the increasing chaos. The tension in the air felt electric. Tom's mind swirled with possibilities. Could he use this moment of distraction to make a break for it? Then, just as Mary moved to block the path of Jake and his thugs, Jake's demeanor shifted. Facing Tom, his expression contorted into something almost desperate. "You can't do this to me, Tom. You have to understand, it's bigger than you know." "What's bigger?" Tom shouted, driven by a mix of fear and rage. What could possibly justify dragging us into this nightmare? But his question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. Instead, it felt like a gauntlet thrown down between them, a challenge that hung in the balance. "Hannah, we need to make a move now," Tom finally urged, heart pounding as he felt the air thick with uncertainty. Jake's eyes flickered with emotion, fear? Regret? But before Tom could decipher, the door slammed shut behind Mary's group, blocking the only way out. "Anyone else feel trapped?" One of Jake's men sneered, narrowing his eyes on Tom and Hannah. As the situation escalated, the cafe filled with voices, none louder than Tom's racing thoughts. They had to escape this place, otherwise, they'd be caught in something way beyond their comprehension. Just then, amidst the mounting tension, the question that echoed in his mind solidified: what was Jake hiding? And would they all make it out alive to unravel the tangled web of truths that waited just outside? Tom's heart raced as Jake's expression shifted from fear to something darker. "Tom, you need to listen." Jake's voice cracked, desperation spilling over. The group of men closed in, their postures now towering like ominous shadows over the tables filled with startled patrons. Mary stepped forward, weaving through the chaos with fierce determination. "I want to let you take anyone," she declared, her eyes locked onto Jake's. Something was shifting, a current of something deeper, almost tragic, flowed between them. Tom could feel Hannah's fingers digging into his skin, anchoring him against the mounting fear. He could only nod toward her, reassuring himself as much as her. "We have to trust Mary," he whispered. Just then, one of Jake's men, a heavy-set figure with wild eyes, snickered, his gaze flicking between Mary and Tom. "You think she can save you? You're in over your heads here." The cafe's chatter rose, a symphony of echoes, but all Tom could hear was the pounding in his chest. "What do they want?" he murmured, half to himself. "Your friend has something we need," Jake said, his honesty cutting straight through the tension like a knife. "But it's not just about that. You can't understand, I didn't want it to come to this." "Then tell us." Mary interjected, her hands braced at her sides. "What do you need?" "You have a choice here, Jake." A flicker of uncertainty crossed over Jake's face. The lines of tension around his eyes softened, almost as if for a moment he was the man Tom once knew. "It's dangerous," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "The truth is bigger than any of us." Tom's mind raced with questions, 1,000 possibilities surged within him. "You're putting us all at risk, Jake. Is whatever secret you're holding worth risking our lives for?" The man in the plaid shirt stiffened, the three thugs shifting expectantly. "This isn't a negotiation," he warned, his voice a guttural growl. Tom felt his resolve sharpen. "We want to let you hurt anyone. Whatever it is, it can't be worth risking lives," he shouted, his voice rising amidst the chaos. Hannah's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape route. "Tom, we need a plan. Let us use the distraction," he whispered, motioning subtly toward Mary. If she could hold them back just a moment longer. Just then, Mary stepped toward the group, bravely standing her ground. "Whatever this is, it doesn't have to end in violence. We can talk." She turned slightly, catching Tom's eye. "Just be ready." In that moment, Tom knew he had to act. His body buzzed with energy as he glanced at James. If they divided Jake's attention suddenly, the door creaked open, a gust of cold air following it. Tom's gaze snapped toward the entrance, his breath hitching. A figure stood silhouetted against the harsh light, and all eyes turned toward the doorway. "Get ready," he whispered to Hannah, feeling the urgency wrap around them like a shroud. The newcomers stepped forward, their identity concealed by the shadows. "What is going on here?" A voice rang out, authoritative and unyielding, but it lacked the comforting warmth of Mary's. Fear coiled tighter in Tom's chest. Who was this? Would they help or just add to the chaos? As the tension hung in the air, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, and the cafe jolted in response. Chaos erupted, chairs falling, voices yelling, and the air thick with panic. In that moment, reality cracked open, and everything felt poised on the edge of destruction. Would they have clarity or just confusion in the aftermath? The waiting became unbearable, and Tom felt the entire cafe's fate resting on a knife's edge. He had one question burning in his mind: were they about to uncover the truth, or was it going to get far worse before it got any better? As chaos enveloped the cafe, a thick haze of uncertainty clung to Tom and Hannah. They stood wide-eyed, straining to grasp the unfolding events. The noise of frantic conversations surrounded them, blurring into a chaotic symphony that resonated through the room. The door burst open again, revealing a police officer, flashlight blazing, body armor glinting. The officer took everything in the tense standoff, Jake's men poised for confrontation, Mary's defiance shining bright against the gloom. "What is going on here?" he commanded, stepping fully inside. For a moment, time froze. Jake's face twisted with dread. "You don't understand. They're not what they seem." "Neither are you," Tom interjected, adrenaline surging through him. They had come too far to back down now. "These men are playing with lives, and we have proof." The officer's gaze met Tom's, intrigued yet cautious. "Proof? What do you have?" He glanced at Hannah, whose eyes were alive with caution and hope. She discreetly placed the flash drive on the table, its sleek casing seemingly mundane yet holding secrets that could turn the tide. Mary stepped in closer to the officer. "This is about justice. We have a history with these men. Morgan is playing in shadows we can't see." The officer nodded, taking the flash drive with hesitant hands. "We'll look into this, but everyone stay calm. No one needs to get hurt." Tom felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, a possibility gleaming in the distance. But the tension still crackled around them, an electric pulse as the men shifted nervously across the room. Suddenly, one of the thugs lunged forward, eyes wild with panic. "This is our chance. We need to go. Get the drive." Without thinking, Tom grabbed Hannah's hand, pulling her with him as they rushed to the nearest exit. "This way. We can't lose this." A surge of energy pushed them forward, just as the thugs bolted after them. The officer shouted, "Stop!" But they didn't look back. They raced into the streets, adrenaline coursing through them like lightning, weaving through the narrow alleys of Maplewood. Panting, Tom turned to Hannah, urgency painted across his features. "We can split up. I'll take the back streets, you head straight to the police station. We can meet there." "No," she protested, grabbing his arm, eyes wide. "That's too dangerous. We need to stick together. He could have friends waiting. We're exposed, Hannah. Please. I need you to trust me." For a heartbeat, they both stood in silence, breaths mingling, decision weighing heavily in the air. Then, reluctantly, she nodded. "Okay. But stay close." They darted down a side alley, skirting dangers and scrambling just ahead of persistent footsteps. Heartbeats resonated in unison, every step a reminder of their mission, every glance a bittersweet reminder of the stakes. They were protecting not just themselves, but every soul Morgan's deceit had touched. Finally, they ducked into an open door, colliding into a narrow storage room. Tom pressed a hand to his chest, feeling the tightness of fear lingering. "We can't let them catch us," he whispered, catching his breath. As they listened, the heavy footsteps faded into the distance. Relief washed over them, but it was quickly punctuated by the weight of their mission. They had stirred shadows, and they need to confront those shadows head-on. Hannah hesitated, worry etched in her features. What if they come back? What if Morgan finds out we have the evidence? Then we fight back, he said quietly. But more than that, we bring others with us. We aren't alone anymore. We have a community that believes in us. With a renewed sense of purpose, they stepped outside once more, hearts steady with determination. They had uncovered a truth, rediscovered a bond, and while the path ahead was fraught with challenges, they had chosen to face it together. As they arrived at the police station, they felt an expanse of hope, slowly rebuilding itself from the ashes of doubt. Stepping inside, Tom could see officers engaged, and for the first time since this ordeal began, a sense of empowerment surged within him. Within moments, they were ushered into an office, the officer from earlier leaning back in his chair, waiting. "You said you have something for me," he nudged gently. Hannah placed the flash drive on the table, a tangible link to the chaos they had just escaped. As the officer examined it, they exchanged glances filled with quiet promise, a pact forged in adversity. The weight of their shared burden began to feel a little lighter. As the officer plugged in the drive, their journey transformed. No longer victims in a story marked by betrayal, they were now warriors in a narrative of renewal. Their fight wasn't over, but it had taken on a new shape where darkness met light, where family met community. Watching the screen come alive, eyes wide with a blend of terror and hope, they felt an essential truth lock into place. Together, they could overcome the shadows. Together, they would reclaim what was stolen, not just for themselves, but for every soul bound by lies. In that moment, as the truth began to unfold before them, they knew they couldn't hold back any longer. Now was the time to move forward, to stand united against the darkness, ready to confront whoever threatened their journey again. The future beckoned, a fragile yet daring chapter opened before them, and just like that, they smiled through the uncertainty hope ignited. It was the spark they needed to reclaim their lives and rewrite their story together. Now, this is your chance to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. Every action matters. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is everything to us, and only true fans understand the importance of backing the journey together. Go on, make a difference.